Joining us now, Ben Rhodes. He was the Deputy National Security Advisor to President Obama. He's the author of a brand new book entitled The World as It Is, a memoir of the Obama White House. Ben, thanks very much for joining us. Congratulations on the new book. I'm going to ask you about it in a few moments. I want to talk about these two summits in Singapore and in Canada also. But let me get your quick reaction to these latest charges filed against the former Trump campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, and his Russian associate.
Well, look, I think this is the 20th indictment that we've seen come down, and it just shows that, while there's all this noise and Trump tries to create all this distraction, Bob Mueller is just methodically building a case that I think leads up to very high levels around Trump.
No, be specific. When you say very high levels around Trump, what do you suspect is going to happen?
Well, only Bob Mueller knows that, Wolf. But I think there's a lot of smoke, and I would suspect that there's fire there when it comes to the fact that we know Russia interfered in the election to help Trump. We've learned about far more contacts between Trump associates and the Russians than I ever knew about when I walked out of the White House. So I think Mueller's going to put that picture together for us.
Let's talk about these summits. There's some serious strains, as you know, not necessarily with some of the non-allies, but with allies of the United States. And now the president is suggesting openly, he was boasting about this, Russia should be readmitted to the G7, make it the G8 once again. You were in the Obama administration when it went from the G8 to the G7. What's your reaction to the president's proposal? Bring in the Russians, let them be part of this G7, G8.
I think it's astonishing, Wolf. I mean, I was there. We, together with our allies, kicked Russia out of the G8 because they'd annexed Crimea and violated the most basic tenet of international order, and worked with Europe over many years to put sanctions on Russia. What we're seeing before our eyes is kind of the unraveling of the post-World War II international order with the U.S. and our allies at the center of that. And the fact of the matter is that's going to have profound consequences for U.S. security and global security in the years to come. And frankly, it's exactly what Putin would want. When people ask, well, why would Putin interfere in our election to help Donald Trump get elected? A split between the alliance of the world's democracies would be the greatest return on Putin's investment.
So you think Putin is winning right now?
He's absolutely winning. This is exactly what he wants.
And who do you credit for that win for Putin?
Well, what's so astonishing about what's happening is the Atlantic Alliance, the alliance of democracies, has withstood all kinds of adversaries over the years and decades. It is a U.S. President, Donald Trump, who is precipitating this crisis for no good reason.
The other big summit coming up on Tuesday in Singapore, the president with Kim Jong-un. The president suggested yesterday, you know what, he's been preparing a long time. It's more attitude right now that's important in dealing with Kim Jong-un than preparation. The key is Kim Jong-un ready to take concrete steps towards denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula? Do you believe he is?
I don't see that he is, Wolf. I see that he probably believes he's in some position of strength, having consolidated his nuclear weapons program and his missile program. Frankly, it takes a huge amount of preparation. I mean, I talk about, say, the Iran deal took 7 years of sanctions and diplomacy to get there. The opening to Cuba, I must have had 20 meetings with Alejandro Castro, Raul Castro's son, before we put Barack Obama in that room. In North Korea, you're talking about issues of the nuclear program. What is their program? What do we want to do in putting in place inspections? What are we going to do with our sanctions? Very intricate details. And frankly, I don't think President Trump has done the necessary preparation to have a successful summit.
Low expectations. All right. You're speaking about the Iran nuclear deal, which the president ripped up. You were part of the team that put that deal together. And now a Senate report, Republicans, they're saying the Obama administration, you served in the Obama administration, actively misled Congress about an effort to help Iran, before the deal was signed, get access to $5.7 billion that was held in Oman. You were going to have the Treasury Department lift some sanctions for this one-time deal. And they're really angry that you did this, and they say you never informed Congress about it.
No, look, Jack Lew had said to Congress—
He was the Treasury Secretary.
Yeah, and we had said we are going to have to find ways to help Iran get access to its own money.
Even before the deal was signed?
No, this is part of how the deal was implemented and keeping.
But the deal had not yet been signed when you lifted the sanctions on that $5.7 billion.
No, this was part of our commitment as we were negotiating the deal. It was Iran's own money that they had to get access to. By the way,
but they wouldn't have had access to it unless the Treasury Department said the Omanis could have a couple of U.S. banks, major banks, make the transition from Omani currency to dollars and then to euros. The banks, by the way, they didn't even want to do it because they thought it would violate the sanctions against Iran.
And this is the point. First of all, this was a single license that was granted that was never even used. And the fact is, here we are. they got what they wanted, Wolf. They tore up the Iran deal. They scrapped the Iran deal. And instead of actually putting forward a policy for constraining Iran's nuclear weapons going forward, they're investigating things in a partisan way that happened years ago. Frankly, what is more concerning to me is the fact that a few days ago, the Supreme Leader of Iran said that they're going to resume their nuclear enrichment activities. That's what we should be worried about here.
But just to be precise, on the $5.7 billion, did you notify Congress specifically that you wanted a one-time lifting of sanctions to allow that money to be freed up, Iranian money, in order to, so they would have access to it?
Well, my understanding, Wolf, is that this was at the end of the administration. And again, I think Jack Lew in testimony and Adam Zubin, our Treasury very highly respected sanctions expert, had said that we were going to have to take steps to allow Iran to access its own money, and that this was a routine license that the Treasury Department issued. So again, I think this is consistent with how we've approached sanctions for many years.
You saw that Republican report that was released yesterday, the book, The World as It Is. Anybody who reads this book, from your perspective, you spent a lot of time, hard work writing it. What's the most important thing a reader will learn from this book?
Well, I want them to know what the experience is like. You know, I had the unique position of being 29 years old and pretty anonymous when I went to work on the Obama campaign, 31 when I came into the White House, and then becoming very close to President Obama. And so I wanted to take people into that experience. What's it like to be in those rooms? What's it like to walk into the West Wing and realize it's just you and about 20 or 30 offices making these decisions? What is President Obama like in his, not just in the moments at the head of the Situation Room table, not this one, but the one in the White House.
You mean there's one in the White House?
There's one in the White House too. But what's he like behind closed doors? What was he like in between summits? What was his conversation like? And so I wanted to take people through that experience for the full 8 years. I realized I had a fairly unique opportunity to be there the first day of the administration and to fly with him on his final flight on Air Force One to California with his family after inauguration and to tell that whole story.
You spent a lot of time in the White House Situation Room. What do you think of our Situation Room?
Well, I got to tell you that the graphics are better here.
Much better. I've been in yours.
Much better, but we have...
Yours are 1980s graphics.
I think we have more comfortable chairs in the Situation Room, though, but you have better graphics.
The book, again, is entitled The World as It Is, a memoir of the Obama White House. Ben Rhodes is the author. Ben, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks, Wolf.